Hello, my name is Jason Stirbinskis and I'm the CEO of Drake Resources. This presentation focuses on recent exploration results at our Samana and Sulitjelma projects and our path forward. On the back of encouraging results at Samana in 2014, we returned for a second round of drilling which concluded in May. Samana is the small blue polygon located in Guinea, and as you can see it's close to the Mali border and closer to the Mali capital than Guinea's capital, Conakry, on the west coast. This area of the prolific Granmuren has several large gold discoveries including Seguri and Liro, both north of 5 million ounces, and the 3 million ounce Trike project just to our south. As we zoom into the Samana prospect itself, it's worth noting the absence of any extreme terrain or substantial development in this area. Drake has only held the majority of the licenses for 18 months, and our first mapping program here in February of 2014 included gram samples of 70 gram per tonne, 42.9 gram per tonne, 29.4, 26.7, and several additional results above 10 gram per tonne spread across 18 kilometres. Subsequent drilling at 7 of the 40 priority targets later in 2014 included results of 4 metres at 19.8 gram per tonne from 50 metres. 10 metres at 2.58 gram per tonne, 3 metres at 3.5 gram per tonne, 3 metres at 5.6 and 3 metres at 5.06, which when added to the most recent results in the darker colour starts to paint a picture of Samana. It's early days for our exploration with only 3,000 metres drilled across 9 of the 40 targets, but what we can conclude thus far is that this area has clearly had a lot of gold-bearing fluids through it, and this has led to the abundant mineralisation we're experiencing across such a large area, and also explains the intensity and frequency of artisanal workings. We are starting to see areas where there's potential continuity of grade over reasonable lengths and shallow depths, such as at Credolan and Tamdian, with the latter showing alignment and structural similarities to the largest deposit of the Trike project to its south. Next steps here is to fly air magnetics and radiometrics to find areas where we have higher potential to encounter large gold-bearing vein networks typical of the larger Birimian discoveries. The Nordic region has a long and substantial history of polymetallic VHMS mining, such as at the Skellefteå field with its 100-year copper-zinc mining history and the famous Garpenberg and Falun mines. You can also see our Joma copper-zinc project on this image. But what I wanted to discuss today is the recent results from the Sulitjelma copper-zinc prospects, which we zoom into now. The nearest town of size and regional hub is Boda, which has a population of around 50,000 and impressive infrastructure including a port. The town of Sulitjelma was the centre of the regional mining industry, and a derelict copper-zinc processing facility lies on the lake's edge on the outskirts of the town. As our 6 anomalies appear, you can clearly make out the major gently arcing regional geological structure that defines the occurrence of copper-zinc massive sulfides on the western arm. We completed VTEM over Sulitjelma in late 2014. The survey covered areas of historic mining activity which ceased operation in the late 1980s with a total of more than 25 million tonnes of copper zinc ore extracted from several underground operations. We recently completed ground EM over the 6 VTEM targets and are very pleased to see that all targets were clearly defined and sometimes enhanced by the new data. In fact, one has become of considerable greater interest as a result of the EM exercise. 4 targets of interest lie in the Western Thrust ore field, which you can see on the image, and is an area of known massive sulfide mineralisation mapped over about 10 kilometres in a north-south direction. It hosts the Sagmo mine, which extracted 1.9 million tonne of ore at 1.6 copper and 0.23% zinc, and the Jakobsbakken mine, which extracted 4.47 million tonne of ore at 1.55% copper and 2.42% zinc. In the eastern region, an extensive conductive horizon with a strike length in excess of 5 kilometres is coincident with a copper-zinc bearing sulfide horizon that is visible at several locations. 2 anomalies have been selected from this region, with target 3 being of particular interest for 2 reasons. Firstly, we don't know much about this area of the mineralised zone, and secondly, our 2014 surface samples near this relatively shallow anomaly recorded 10.7% copper and 15.1% zinc. The anomaly that has moved up in the ranks is anomaly 1, which is a large 1,300 metre by 1,100 metre conductor located 100 metres immediately above the Avalon Stole underground access drive and historic workings, and may represent relatively easily accessible mineralisation unsuspected by the past miners. We will be returning to Sulitjelma for follow-up field mapping in the northern summer as a precursor to drilling. We recently announced an EM survey at our Bergslagen regional portfolio, which contains our greenfield Granmuren nickel sulfide discovery. To refresh your memory, Granmuren is a near-surface greenfield nickel-copper sulfide discovery in central Sweden. It's a substantial intrusion of massive and disseminated sulfides, mainly pyrrhotite, pentlandite and chalcopyrite, hosted in gabbros and norites. Mineralisation occurs from near surface, and we've tracked it down to about 330 metres, and it remains open at depth and laterally, and with grades that compare to nickel grades of open-pit nickel operations in the Nordic region. The Q3 EM survey does not involve Granmuren itself. As you can see from the map, Drake essentially controls this potential nickel province. The EM survey will test some of these targets for repeats of Granmuren. So whilst it's a relatively modest EM program, the repercussions of a positive result are potentially very significant. The other project we're hoping to return to is the Joma copper zinc project in Norway. I've spoken about this project many times. It essentially has two parts to it. Firstly, we have an existing decommissioned mine at Joma and at Jøsvik, and some functioning mine infrastructure at the Joma site. Our extensive database associated with the Joma mine operations has allowed us to determine an exploration target for the residual mineralisation around the mine. Please read the announcement from the 17th of March 2014 for that detail. The second aspect is the exploration upside given our large footprint over this area of the Coley Thrust complex, which has hosted copper zinc production at several sites in addition to Joma and Jøsvik. Our regional investigations to date have focused on a small area around Joma, and we've got some very exciting targets, such as Target 1 geophysics anomaly in this image. We've not committed to next steps at Joma yet, but it's something we hope to progress this year in addition to the field work at Sulitjelma, the EM program at Bergslagen, and the air magnetic survey at Samana, which is still in early stage planning but targeting later in the year. Thanks for your time.